Hello and welcome again to River Valley Farm. We are back to the baler. Everything is ready to go back together. Good timing too, because yesterday, Wednesday, the whatever it was, 17th, I cut another 9-acre field of hay. Actually probably closer to 10. And then the neighbor to the place that I cut the 9 acres on has some that he wants me to bale. So it's time to put it back together again, because I'm gonna have to bale hay Saturday. So anyway, I don't know if I put these in the last video or not, but these were, at some point in time I mentioned how these were kind of flattened off and not really round and useful anymore. So I took the knife arms to the local machine shop. Okay, these were $200 and I think $16 a piece to buy them from New Holland. Took them to my local machine shop, had them make new rollers and put on it. Okay, both of them new rollers, cut for them, 65 bucks. Okay, so father-in-law made the board for me. It's right. I mean, he made it out of oak, and the only thing is he had to make it out of 2 pieces, so he actually pinned and glued this together, which let me go grab the old one. It's actually made out of 3 pieces that were pinned and glued together when the thing was made, whenever it was made a long time ago. And you'll have to excuse my background noise, but we got logging going on down here today, close by. All right, so anyway, this is the old piece here, and you can see there's a crack and there's a gap right there. That's 3 pieces. I thought it was just splitting along the grain of the wood, and you could look at that and see how that would appear that way, but that's just not it. Father-in-law has a much more trained woodworking eye than I do, and he knew exactly what they had done there. This split is the wood actually breaking. Okay, but rather than, well, this one was unrepairable anyway. They said if it hadn't have been for this, he could have just repaired this piece of wood and all would have been well with that. So anyway, I guess to start with, I'm gonna go ahead and put the knife arms back on. Not much to that. I mean, it's literally just slide this thing up through this hole here, that hole there, and put a cotter pin in it. Nothing to it at all as far as that goes. And then I'll show you what those look like once they're in there correctly. And then I suppose we'll start on the rest of this thing. All right, so knife arms are in. Everything looks just so much nicer about those right now, like they would just kind of roll around the inside of that like they were supposed to and all. I mean, what an idea. That's just unheard of and scary and stuff, right? Anyway, so before I forget, I gotta tighten these bolts up, and then like I said, before I forget, I got to tighten those bolts up. And then I'm going to put this thing back together with, or well, actually, I'm going to put this piece back on here. And before I do, well, yeah, before I do all that, I did go through and build this up, or welded this back together and built it up this morning. So it at least isn't worn in 2 there anymore. That's good. Well, it's a major improvement anyway. So let me get these things bolted down and put that back on, put that back on, and we'll look at the track then. All right, so wad board is reassembled. Knotters are put back together, wad board's reassembled. That thing's about as much fun to take apart or to put back together as it was to take apart. Anyway, good enough. There it is. It's done. Now onto this thing. This is the track that the wad board runs in. All right. I put this one together myself. I didn't go buy a piece of 13/16 angle iron like this here was. I just took a piece of 1-inch angle iron that I had and cut this to fit here with a grinder and a cutoff wheel. Okay, so this is now 13/16 of an inch here. I believe now this is slightly thicker. This is like a 1/16 of an inch thicker piece of angle than what was here originally. The originally was 1/8. I think this is 3/16. Okay. This is slightly narrower than this was, I believe. Actually, I'd be willing to bet you if that one didn't have the gaps in it, they'd be the same. But anyway, so now we're ready to put the track in and put this back on. Okay, it's actually, no, not either. I need to, I forgot something here. Shame on me, I was gonna forget something. I need to look into replacing this bolt. That's one thing I need to do, because that is not gonna be very adjustable. So yeah, we're gonna have to replace that bolt, and then we'll be able to move along with this project a little bit farther. Okay, so I found another suitable bolt, or well, almost suitable bolt. It's not threaded up all the way, but when you have a tap handle as such and a vise, it really don't matter, does it? We're just gonna go ahead and cut that down to the end and use this bolt. It'll be just fine. That is, if I can get it in here. Down in there a little bit farther, like that. Hopefully it'll work. And yes, I could really use a bigger vise, but around here we use what we got until we can afford to replace it, right? So anyway, it's cutting right through there though. These are really good, really good dies, and this is a grade 5 bolt, so no issue at all in cutting that thread like I wanted it to. So anyway, okay. So yeah, that cut right down through it, no problem at all. Now we have a full length threaded bolt to use for the track adjustment on the baler. Excellent news. We needed one of those. All right, so we got the track in. Let's go ahead and stick this thing in here so maybe we can see something. The bolts underneath it here are approximately the same height right now. Let's call it within a 1/16 of an inch anyway. So next up on the list is going to be to put the wad board in, kind of center it in there a little bit, I suppose, and then make sure that it moves freely, but it doesn't have room to bounce around up and down, okay? So not really a big deal, but all the same, if you'll remember the previous video, which again, I'll try and put a link to that somewhere. Don't be looking for it up here while I'm pointing, look for it in the description box, because I definitely don't know how to do this thing with it up here. But anyway, so yeah, that's next on the list. I'm gonna slide that in there and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so it's sitting in there. We're kind of snug, looks like, on this end here. Looks like it to me anyway. It's pretty tight right there. And of course it's sitting, if I can get this thing situated, right on the bottom. So we need to back this bolt off just a little bit because it's rammed in there pretty good right now. And then well, let me get that thing to slide back first. I guess that'd be helpful. It's pretty snug, pretty snug. Anyway, see if I can get a hold. Okay, so it's not bad. Hopefully, well, out here at this end, I don't think it's really all that crucial how tight this is, but we're going to try and tighten this a little bit. Raise this bolt up a little bit, let that one down a little bit, and hope for the best, I suppose you could say. So anyway, let me do that, and then we're going to have to put a little lube in here too, because like I say, she's pretty stiff for the most part. So yeah, well, let me get it adjusted first before I go making a mess out of it. Okay, so this, I don't know if it's right or not, but it's smooth, so we're gonna go with it's good. And I'm gonna get under here and tighten up the bolts on the track, and then we'll put the drive piece on, or the whatever they called that thing, the piece that connects to the chain. And I'll explain what I did to it too, because I just welded up the worn in spots on it and ground it off smooth. So anyway, we're getting closer to a test run. All right, so it's all back together again. Got the cotter pin in down here. The only thing I'm going to try to do now, other than of course go tie this piece back to that piece over to the other plunger, is I'm going to try and get some of the slack out of this chain, because there is quite a bit here. I don't know how well you guys can see that because I don't have the light down here right now, but there's quite a lot of slack in that chain, and there's a whole lot of adjustment right here. So butt that up right there. You can see there's a whole lot of adjustment in that, so we're gonna go ahead and try and snug that a little bit. It's not that big of a problem at this point in time, but if it gets much more wear in it, it's really going to eat up the bottom of this baler, and we really don't want that. So anyway, We're gonna, like I said, it's just as simple as loosening this bolt that holds this pulley and tightening this one up a little bit. So no big deal there. Okay, so about a turn on this is all it took to solve that issue. Maybe turn and a half, and it's tight as tight can be, so that's good. All right, so let me finish locking this down, and like I said, still got to tie the two chains, this chain that runs this thing back and forth, and then the one that is tied to the bale plunger back up, and then I got to restring the baler, where I had to work on the knotters, grease the knotters, and then we will be ready to feed this little guy. Oh, move the bush hog. Gotta move bush hog too. Then we'll be ready to feed this little guy and see what happens. Hopefully it runs just smooth as glass, but if it don't, well, probably won't be much more than just an adjustment here or there that'll need to be done. So, all right, so we're gonna kick her in an idle here real quick, just let it run through. Make sure it's all running nice and smooth. Which it would seem to be. Forgot to let the pickup down. That's definitely a no-no if you didn't know. Anyway, so that's all back. I mean, everything's... Oh, that might get caught in something and become a problem. Anyway, let me clean some of this hay off the top, and then we'll wind her up, see what happens, I guess. Alright, so kind of a half speed to see what happens kind of deal here. So we had some kind of goofy knot things going here to begin with, but I've just leftover string, and well, I didn't retie the bales. Anyway, tying just beautifully. We're gonna have to tension up the bale a little bit, but anyway, so far so good. I mean, it sounds like a dang sewing machine. So yeah, guess that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I want to go ahead and feed it a little more and get everything reset, but yeah, so far as I can tell, it's working anyway. And like I said, we got this one goofy knot where it didn't work right, and then the next one is pretty nice, so we're good, I do believe. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I doubt if I'll get to do any filming, because like I said, this is not my land I'm working on, or well, some of it is, but not all of it. So we'll see how it goes, but I will report back, and you know, if I break it, I'll be back with what happened to it. So anyway, thanks for watching.